we go, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, good evening. I'm glad we had a little break in the rain, get you all here without getting wet. Before taking roll, I'd like to ask everyone to please turn your cell phones off or to vibrate. Now I'll turn to Mrs. Rose, take roll of the council.
Councilmember Steve Rice.
Here.
Councilmember Barbara Spector.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Pazinski.
Here.
Vice Mayor Diane McNutt.
Here.
Mayor and Chair Mike Wasserman.
Here. Thank you very much. Now it's time for our Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to ask the Morning Rotary Club President Dan Lawson to lead his club forward and meet me at the podium. All right, get a little closer. Pretend you know each other. All right, because you got a nice camera view there. Joining us tonight for the Pledge of Allegiance is the Los Gatos Morning Rotary Club. Chartered in 2003, the Rotary's mission is to give back to our community in ways that improve the community and the lives of those who live here, while having a great deal of fun doing so. These volunteers have helped numerous burn victims in South America, traveled to India to fight polio, rebuilt houses devastated by hurricanes in Mississippi, hiked the Himalayas to help orphanages, and walked in high heels to support sexual assault awareness. That's especially tough on the men. They have also given scholarships to students interested in studying architecture, art, and drama, as well as raised funds for the Los Gatos Theater Improvement Project and the Los Gatos Education Foundation. Before the Los Gatos Morning Rotary begins the Pledge of Allegiance, they will be leading us in a patriotic song. Please rise. Really?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and friends, I thought it would be interesting to give a little history of this song we're going to sing because maybe some of you don't know about it. But back in 1939, Europe was on the brink of war, and a very famous radio singer in New York went to an equally famous composer of popular music and said, "What we need right now is a song to bring all of us together because of all that's happening overseas." He demurred. He said, "Well, this is my adopted country, and I love America, but I don't feel qualified to write such a song." And the singer, she, pressed him. And finally he said, "Well, all right." And he went to his file cabinet and pulled out a folio. It was a little worn, a little old. And he said, "It's not much, but if you can use it, it's yours." And the song that Irving Berlin gave to Kate Smith is the one that has become our second national anthem. And that's what we're going to sing tonight. God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the lights from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. And this was Ginger that was leading us in that. Now, please, if you'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, President Dan. And now we've got a commendation to present to your club that I'd like to read aloud. Please, everyone, be seated. It says, whereas the Los Gatos Morning Rotary Club, also known as the Cool Cats of Los Gatos, was formally chartered in October 2003 and is affiliated with Rotary International, which is the world's first service club organization with a membership of 1.2 million volunteers dedicating their time and talent to further the Rotary motto, service above self. Whereas the club in its first 4 years raised and distributed over $116,000 to dozens of local art and music organizations, health, education, and welfare programs, as well as national and international medical facilities and disease prevention projects. In addition, the club has raised funds for a variety of youth organizations, including, but not limited to, scholarships for Lee High School, Los Gatos, and Westmont, the Children's Shakespearean Festival, Los Gatos Education Foundation, Los Gatos High School Theater Improvement Project, Deja Vu Youth Jazz Band, Muo Electric, is that right? Muo Electric. I said that a couple times before. Okay. Muo Electric Limb for Children's Give. Thank you. Okay. Myo Electric Limb for Children's Give a Child a Hand. South Bay Children's Medical Center, the venue, a place for teens, Youth Speech Contest, Tech Girls YWCA, Teen and Family Counseling Center, Los Gatos High School Band Boosters, Los Gatos Sea Scouts, Youth Enterprise Leadership Conference, and Graffiti Removal on the Old Town Bridge Children's Art Project. And whereas the club brought joy, entertainment, and excitement to the Los Gatos community by creating and sponsoring fundraisers that are now signature attractions to Los Gatos, such as hosting the first 4 years of Jazz on the Plaz, Claws for a Cause, The Party, and the Los Gatos Plein Air Artists in the summer, was awarded first place for float design in the 2004 and 2008 Los Gatos Children's Holiday Parade. It was quite some float this year. And after 93-year absence, brought opera back to the Opera House in February of 2009. And whereas the club has provided funding to support national and international Rotary efforts, including but not limited to polio vaccinations and cleft palate surgeries, altogether touching over 5,800 lives. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Los Gatos does hereby commend and congratulate the Los Gatos Morning Rotary Club for its tireless service and giving to the community and residents of Los Gatos for the past 6 years. Thank you very much.
Well, as president of Los Gatos Morning Rotary, I'd like to thank Mayor Mike and the council for this wonderful acknowledgement of the efforts that our club makes week after week for our community, as well as many of the partnerships we do internationally. For those of you watching at home and for those of you in our chamber today, the question I would ask is, what service club do you belong to? Rotary offers wonderful opportunity, but there are other service clubs in our community that are just as formidable and just as wonderful. I'm certainly more partial to Los Gatos Morning, as you could well understand, and I'd invite you at any opportunity you might have to meet us. We meet at the Los Gatos Lodge Wednesday mornings at 7:30. You're more than welcome to be our guest. We'd love to see you. Please come and participate in the wonderful work we do. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, President Dan. If you'll stay here for just a minute, let's give him a round of applause. And in this packet, I've got the Town of Los Gatos pins that I wanted to present to you to give to each of your members as well. Thank you for that. And there's one more point I would like to make here. As you know, a few weeks ago, the expansion of the Project Cornerstone effort to increase the developmental assets of our young people took off. And today we have about 30 organizations that have said they will pledge to help increase the developmental assets of our young children. But it was the Los Gatos Morning Rotary Club that was the first of all the organizations in Los Gatos to sign the pledge and return it. The others are now coming in each day, and that's wonderful, but I wanted to give you that extra credit, if you will. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you all. And if you can shake the hands of our council members. We'll do them. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Did you? Good.
That was so much fun. What a treat.
Thank you. You're welcome. Nice job.
Thank you again.
Good job. same, right? Doesn't matter? There's no names? Yeah, then I got to come back here. So set it. All right, thank you very much. Now I'll turn to our town attorney, Mr. Korb, to give closed session report.
You'd like me to sing it?
Sing it would be good. Careful what you ask for.
No, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The council did meet in closed session tonight on 2 items. The first was a conference with legal counsel concerning existing litigation, Neymark et al. Versus San Jose et al. All members were present and voted unanimously to authorize an appeal in that matter. We also met regarding a conference with the council's real property negotiator concerning property identified as APN 424-31055. That's the town-owned property at Larkin Winchester. Direction was given to the town's negotiator. No reportable actions were taken. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Korb. Now I'd like to ask our Community Services Director, Mrs. Regina Faulkner, to come forward. Good evening, Regina. Tonight we have a proclamation proclaiming March for Meals Month as part of the Meals on Wheels program, which serves many older adults here in Los Gatos. Here to receive the proclamation is Mrs. Faulkner, who I'd like to ask to say a few words after I read the proclamation. Whereas the town of Los Gatos is home to many older residents who want to continue to live independently and with dignity for as long as their health allows. And whereas seniors who live alone are often at risk of undernutrition because of poor appetites and or because it's difficult for them to plan menus, shop for groceries, and prepare well-balanced, nutritious meals for themselves. And whereas Meals on Wheels delivers nutritious hot meals to Los Gatos residents at their homes and provides them with friendly human contact, so important to quality of life. Whereas now, therefore be it resolved, I, Mike Wasserman, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the town of Los Gatos, do deem it appropriate and do hereby proclaim the month of March 2009 March for Meals Month within our town, and hereby encourage residents to be aware of the needs of isolated, at-risk seniors in our community. Thank you very much, Regina.
I'll just take this opportunity on behalf of many Los Gatos seniors to thank the council for their ongoing support of the various nutritional programs that we have in the community. So on their behalf, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. She's a very modest woman that accomplishes a great deal for 25 years. She's worked for the town of Los Gatos, helping our seniors in this community, which is absolutely amazing. Okay, now I'd like to do something that we've never done before. I know our council meetings are very special, and I know a lot of people watch them at home on their TVs or via streaming video on their computers. In fact, if you have a computer, it's now possible to watch these meetings live or afterwards from anywhere in the world at any time. But that's the easy way to do it. I think it's time we recognize and reward, for the first time ever, those individuals who put on their coat and shoes, battled the traffic, found a parking space, and made their way here tonight. But since we can't give an award to everyone here, I decided we should base it on who came the furthest. So, we're going to do this by a show of hands. I'll ask a question, and if your answer is yes, raise your hand. And please leave your hand raised until your answer is no longer yes. Surprise you, Jenny? The last hand raised will be the winner. All right? Here we go. Everyone who came from at least a block away, raise your hand. Remember, leave your hand raised. Everyone who came from at least a mile away, raise your hand. Everyone who came from at least 3 miles away, raise your hands. Remember, if you came from this far away, raise your hand. All right? Everyone who came from at least 10 miles away, raise your hands. I think there's a few people in the crowd who should be raising their hands. Come on, play along here. Everyone who came from at least 100 miles away, keep your hands up. Everyone who came from 1,000 miles away, keep your hands up. Everyone who came from at least 5,150 or 8,280 kilometers, keep your hands up. All right, looks like we have a winner. In fact, we've got 3 winners. I'd like to ask the 3 of you with your hands up to please come on forward. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Maria Gorman, the Mayoress of Listowel, Ireland, which is Los Gatos' sister city. In addition, we have the Mayoress' husband, Patrick Lynch, and here in the middle, Mr. Jimmy Dinahan, an elected representative from the northern part of County Kerry. Mayoress Gorman and Mr. Dinahan are here as part of an Irish delegation to further strengthen the partnership between the town of Los Gatos and Listowel, Ireland. Mayoress Gorman has served as a member of the Listowel Town Council since she was first elected to that position in 1979. She also is a member of the governing board of the Institute of Technology, Tralee, County Kerry, and sits on the board of Combat Poverty, an advisory group on social issues to the Irish government. She is a member of the Fianna Fáil political party. Jimmy Dinahan is a member of the Dáil Éireann, the principal chamber of the Irish Parliament. He is Tech Tadala, or representative, of the northern part of County Kerry. He has served in that capacity for more than 20 years, comprising 5 consecutive terms. He is a member of the Fine Gael political party, which traces its history to the struggle for Irish independence and identifies a famous Irishman, Michael Collins, as founder. On Tuesday evening, March 3rd, that's tomorrow night, Mr. Dinahan will hold an investment seminar at 7 p.m. in these council chambers, focusing on the economic development of Ireland. The seminar is free to the public, and we encourage you all to attend and learn more about Listowel and Ireland. To celebrate our relationship with Listowel and the delegation's actually it's your 3rd visit. Thursday, Jimmy, you've been here 8 times. All right, well, to celebrate this visit to Los Gatos, it's my pleasure to present Mayoress Gorman and Mr. Dinahan each with a key to the town of Los Gatos. Let's hear it for them. And Jimmy? And now I'd like to give the Lady Mayoress a few moments to speak, and then Mr. Dinahan.
Thank you very much, Mayor Mike, for having us here, and Barbara, and Steve, and Joe, and Diane, and the town manager, Greg, and Jackie over here. I want to sincerely thank you for the invitation to me as Mayor of Listowel to be here with you. This, as you've said, Mike, is my 3rd visit here to Los Gatos, and I have enjoyed every time I've come here. It's been, I suppose, for me, I have the easy bits. I suppose I have to pay tribute to somebody like Jimmy Dinahan, who has really kept the sister city alive and well as such, because Jimmy comes out here much more often, and himself and Johnny down there and Patty and a whole lot of other people have kept the thing going, and that is very, very important. It's very important to us back in Listowel, because even though you would have a bigger population than we have, as such, we have a population of only 4,000 and 5,000 if you take in the outlining areas of the town as such, much smaller than you have. But we still have a very nice town which we have preserved, the same as yourself. ourselves has here, because through our planning laws and all that, we do not allow a whole lot of plastic signs and a whole lot of, we preserve the buildings and we do everything that we can because we're a heritage town and that's the way we want to keep it. We also do in our, at council level, I was interested tonight to see the awards being given here by you, because we do that as well back at home. We recognise people who do things in the community and that. And I have a great saying all the time is that people who work in their communities, they get up and they do the thing. Whereas people who do not take part, they have this thing about, well, back in our part of the country anyway, saying, well, what is somebody else doing about something? And I always say, never ask what somebody else is doing, just find out what are you doing yourself, and are you doing something? And I have great admiration for people who do get up and go out there and take part in their communities. So other than that, I just want to say Barbara has been to Listowel, so I would hope that at some time some of the other councillors, you are very, very welcome, and Mike, as Mayor, you are very, very welcome to come to Listowel. Now, I notice on the website that the Chamber are having a trip in November, and I noticed that they have a stopover in Listowel, and I certainly look forward very, very much to that when you do come, and I'm hoping that other people can come. And long may this friendship and this communication and this ties between our two authorities, between ours and Listowel and yours in Lascaris here, long may it continue. And to thank Jimmy, I suppose, as I said before, I can't thank him enough, because he's the person that continues it. He's the person that keeps, you have to have a driver in no matter what you're doing. And Jimmy has been that driver, and he keeps the thing going all the time. And long may it continue. And again, thank you so much, each and every one of you, for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor of Lascaris, Mayor of Listowel, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be with you here this evening. The first time I stepped in this chamber was back in 1994, and I was welcomed here by Pat O'Loughlin, and it's sad that Pat has departed from this life and that he's not with us here this evening, because Pat and Mayor Gorman were the people who signed the agreement establishing the sister city relationship between Listowel and Lascaris back in September of 1994. And it has been quite successful. A number of groups from the area here have visited Listowel. For example, San Jose Youth Orchestra, maybe I would say an entourage of 120 people, Los Altos Main Street Singers, Lascaris High School Band, mostly Irish theatre, a character called John Rose Reardon, I remember, a great individual. There was a dance group, modern dance group, and many more. And even just a year or two ago, we had Barbara and Ira Spector, they visited the town. And a large number of individuals visited the town over the years, with some very good golfers in here also, people like Johnny Hannigan and Rio Flaherty and several more. And of course, we've continuous contact with Tom McHenry, former mayor of San Jose, whose ancestors came from North Kerry, where we are from. And just to mention Pat O'Loughlin, Pat came to Writers' Week for a number of years in succession, and he really loved the relationship, and he was very proud of it. And we're very proud of it because, as I mentioned to Marianne, below the reporter here this evening, that it's a great honour for Listowel, a small town on the periphery of Europe, not just of Ireland, of Europe. We are the nearest town, more or less, to America that's in Europe. So we're very proud and honoured that we should be related to Lascaris, one of the most prosperous towns in the world, as you know. And a very vibrant place, a place full of creativity, of imagination, and beautiful people. And I mean that sincerely. And it's only when you're on the street, when you walk along the street and when you meet people, you realize that. And that's why so many people want to come and live here. So, for all those reasons, this relationship is one, hopefully, that will last. And as I said yesterday evening, I'm not involved in too many relationships, but this is one relationship I will certainly see out for the rest of my life. So thank you very much. And just to say here this evening, I would love if Mike and any of you people and some of these councillors could make that visit to Ireland, because now we have a direct link between San Francisco and Shannon, which is only an hour away from the Stole. So it's quite close. And I'll hand you back. The Mayor has a presentation to make, and so have I, just a few little minor things here as well.
Now, I'd just like to make a presentation of a picture from a local artist in Listowel, and it depicts the Listowel races. Listowel races is running now for 150 years, and it is, while I said the population of Listowel is around 4,000 people, it increases tenfold for that particular event. So if any of you ever come to Listowel, you'll be wondering, you know, what I was talking about with the crowds of people, because it is the second biggest race meeting in the whole country. It's held in September, and it is at a time when sort of all the work is done for the summer, and that it's at that stage of the year, which means a lot of people in Ireland take their holidays at that time and they come to Listowel, and it's a huge business for the whole of County Kerry, not alone for Listowel, but the whole of County Kerry. So I just want to make that presentation to Mike. Thank you.
And just I'd like to present the State Diary. I know 2 months have now gone in the year, but this is a very special diary, that just a very limited edition of them. So I'm going to present that to the man who probably does most of the writing around here, and that's Town Manager Greg Larson. And this is just a book that a person wrote, Bertha Beattie. She left Listowel in 1909. She was part of the ascendancy class in the town, and she left before the War of Independence, but she did write about her memories of growing up in the town as, I suppose, one of the privileged people. But it's a very, very insightful book into life in Ireland at that particular time. We just reprinted a limited edition of 500. So I just bought 2 of them because it says a lot about our town and it's well worth reading. So one woman that was very helpful was Pamela Jacob in organising this visit. So I would like to give one to Pamela. And I think it's only fair that I give the other one to the councillor who actually visited Listowel, and that's Barbara Spector. And thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll now resume with the regular part of our meeting, but I'll give this opportunity to anybody who wants to move out and not hear our business, our ordinary business, to take off. Thank you very much.
Throw away this thing.
Okay, we're now back on to the regular part of our agenda. Yes, thank you, Patty. And just a reminder for everyone out there, you have these beige cards in front of you. If you wish to speak to any item on the agenda, please fill one out. And, excuse me just one second here. Okay, we're now at the council matters portion of the agenda, and I'll look to my council members for any matters they wish to mention. Mentionable matters? Seeing none, I will turn to our manager for I can't even do that one. Manager for mentionable matters.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, 2 brief items, both on activities coming up in the next week. This Wednesday night, we will be starting the 12-class series called the Parent Project. This is an initiative started by the county district attorney with every jurisdiction in the county. It's being coordinated here in Los Gatos by the Recreation Department and being led by the Los Gatos Police Department. It's a 12-week class for parents and their children who are in troubled, difficult relationships or want to prevent them in the future. And it's a real opportunity to show a different face of our police and our community to strengthen our youth and our families in town, perfectly in keeping with Project Cornerstone and many other efforts of the town. Second, next Monday we will be starting re-turfing of one of our most busily and heavily used parks, the Town Plaza, and we'll be closing the park for roughly a month and a half to re-turf that park, and we'll be doing other improvements to the site in the meantime to get it ready for the spring and summer activities that are such a highlight of our community. But we will be posting park close notices next Monday for roughly a month and a half.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Now we're on the consent portion of our calendar. I'll look to council to pull any consent items. Seeing none. Mr. Korb, do you have a comment to make?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to point out to council that you have a desk item concerning a slight change to the resolution on item number 5. Our recommendation is that any action you take on consent concerning item number 5 be directed to the corrected resolution attached to the desk item.
Thank you, Mr. Korb. And Citizen Ray, I see you've pulled item number 6. Is there anybody else that wishes to pull an item? Seeing none, we'll close that portion. And Citizen Ray, why don't you say what you have to say about item number 6?
Now,
Time.
how come you keep changing the rules?
And item number 6 is the minutes of the Town Council study session from February 17th.
Thank you. And the clock has stopped until I start talking.
Oh, it's starting now. There you go.
That's beautiful. We're going by the rules for a change. Wow. Impressed. I am very impressed. May I get to the point, okay? The minutes of February 2nd, relative to my comments, read as follows. I commented that the council relied on sequent interpretations that were false. The minute taker, this woman here, is talking about the Ross Creek testimony by Mr. Korb and by the planning director. Now, I did not say they were false. Oh, I mean, these minutes are so ugly from time to time. It's unbelievable. What I said was the council relied on the testimony of both these individuals, and look what it led to. Downfall at court. The courts ruled against the town of Los Gatos on the Ross Creek matter. And in my opinion, the council action, which was followed the interpretation by the town lawyer and the town planning director, was basically incompetent. Incompetent, that led to the court's rejection of the town's position. That's what I said. I didn't say they were false, and I said it was Ross Creek. So, come on, lady, get it together. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Davis, why don't you go ahead and stay right there, because we're going to have your, Mr. Davis, why don't you go ahead and stay right there? If you'll turn off the clock, Stephanie, that'll save you getting up and getting down, because we're going to come right back to you. Okay, Council, you've heard about item number 6. Now look for a motion regarding consent items. Mr. Brzezinski.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. A motion to move to approve the consent calendar?
Second, and I'm assuming that you're modifying 5 to include the resolution. That's the desk item?
That's correct.
Motion made and seconded. Yes, sir, Mr. Rice.
I'll be supporting the motion, but I have to recuse myself from item 4, so my vote will not apply to that.
Okay. So we've got the modification, the recusal, and I think we're done. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Now we get to verbal communications. Citizen Ray.
All right, thank you. Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm back on the subject of your, in my opinion, criminal behavior under the Brown Act, okay? Now, you had a statement by the city attorney that you had a right to a brief comment. And he read the law and the government code. And that's, of course, true. What I'm saying is your comment was far from brief. Far from brief. And I want to read what the official minutes of Los Gatos said you said. Mayor Mike Wasserman commented that the property value of the town-owned property at Vasona Park was assessed numerous times by professional appraisers, and that council determined that the cost was appropriate. Furthermore, you said, the mayor commented that the funds from the sale of the property have been set aside for future park uses. That's brief? I don't think so, because you totally contradicted the point of my statement, okay, and left me no opportunity to rebut your rebuttal, okay? And that's not what the public comment period is for under the Brown Act. So, I have the choice of going forward with a complaint to the DA. I want to tell you, I'm going to hold off and see what you do in the future. If you continue to abuse the Brown Act, as I feel you're doing, I will just add to the weight of evidence in my complaint. I'll wait until I have 3 or 4 complaints, and I'll take it to the DA and ask for a cease and desist order, which I have done many times before, not here, but in Orinda, okay? So I just want to put you on notice. Be a good boy, follow the law, and you and I will get along pretty good in that respect. Also, attachment 4 of the plan for the redevelopment agency states, and you 5 need to listen up close, okay, relative to community facilities and buildings. This redevelopment program, this is the program right here, I have it in my hand, would provide limited funding for community facilities and buildings. Primary emphasis would be on geologic investigations, structural analysis, rehabilitation, expansion, and the seismic retrofit of buildings in the civic center. Not a word about a brand new library. Not a word.
Warning 1.
It's the law.
Next one, you're gone. Don't push. You're
You know
done.
what I
Thank
said?
you. All right, having no other cards, seeing nobody else, we'll close the verbal communications portion of the meeting. And I'd like to turn to Mr. Korb for a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'll respond to 2 points raised. First, I've already twice advised the council concerning the Brown Act. As I recall, what occurred at the meeting last was that the accusation was that you're not allowed to respond. to any comments made at verbal communications, and you clearly can respond with a brief statement, and my opinion is that that was a very brief statement, so I don't see any violation, and I think it's wrong to make an accusation of illegal behavior when that's not the case. Secondly, regarding the redevelopment plan, the issue is whether the redevelopment plan for the redevelopment project area provides for the construction of public facilities, development of facilities and so on, including libraries, and the redevelopment plan in fact does. So my opinion is that the plan is more than adequate with regard to the library project, as it was with regard to the police services facility.
Thank you, Mr. No, you may not. Okay, we're now on to number 7, which is approving the Arts Commission recommendation regarding the future oversight of Music in the Park concert series and authorizing staff authorizing staff to commence contract negotiations with Los Gatos Music and Arts for Music in the Park coordination. We have a staff report from Mrs. Regina Faulkner, Director of Community Services. Take it away.
Good morning. Good morning.
It could be in Ireland.
It's been a long day. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. The report before you this evening recommends that the Council approve the Arts Commission's recommendation regarding future oversight of the Music in the Park concert series and authorize staff to commence contract negotiations with Los Gatos Music and Arts for MIP coordination. Music in the Park, as you know, is a summer concert series. The concerts are held Sunday afternoons from 5 to 7 in the late afternoon at the Los Gatos Civic Center lawn. MIP, now in its 21st season, is funded largely with community contributions raised by the Arts Commission of the town of Los Gatos. Arts Commission members and staff are responsible for all work related to the series. In practical terms, this means that all aspects of MIP coordination are subject to state and town policies, including policies such as the Brown Act and the town purchasing procedures. There is general agreement among the Arts Commission and staff that the current organizational structure is overly burdensome and is often frustrating. During the past year, the Arts Commission and town staff have reviewed and evaluated the MIP program goals and coordination. Discussions have highlighted a common desire to coordinate the program through an alternative structure. The recent formation of the nonprofit agency, Los Gatos Museum and Arts, which operates the successful Jazz in the Plaz concert series, presents an opportunity for the town to explore an alternative organizational structure for MIP, which is not subject to the rigorous confines of the Brown Act, and reduces the impact on town human resources, at the same time allowing for coordinated community fundraising. With council approval, staff will commence negotiations with LGM&A, the Los Gatos Music and Arts Program, with the goal of preparing a final contract for presentation to the Association Board and the Town Council no later than August 2009. This would allow for transfer of the MIP project from the town to the agency by September of 2009. Regardless of which agency manages Music in the Park, we are committed to continuing to present a vital summer concert series for the residents to enjoy. Members of the Arts Commission and just the Arts Commission are in the audience and available to address any questions the council may have. I'm also available, Jonathan Knowles, an Arts Commissioner and also a member of the agency board. He is available this evening. And I also wanted to point out that we do have a desk item that was presented to you earlier. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mrs. Faulkner. We'll start with questions of Mrs. Faulkner. Mrs. Spector, Councilmember Spector.
Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Favorite of the stole.
I understand that should staff's recommendation be adopted by the council, it would simply mean that the process of negotiating would be going forward. So my question would be, with regard to details like assuring continuation of music in the park, or the scope of advertising, or the size of the event, those would be things that would be addressed down the line. Is that correct?
Those would be elements that we would want to include in the contract, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Jonathan, I'd like to ask you a question if you can come up to the podium, please. This is Jonathan Knowles, co-chair of LG-M&A.
Jonathan Knowles, I'm the chairman of the board of directors of Los Gatos Music and Arts, and the co-chair of Music in the Park with Commissioner Hopkins. So I do have a foot in each camp. Los Gatos Music and Arts is also the producer of the Jazz in the Plaz summer concert series as well.
Thank you. My question for you, my concern about this going independent, I think what all of you currently do and the members that I know on the individual entities are wonderful. My concern is the process to replace yourself, unless you're signing in blood to be there forever. So that's what concerns me. I know on our Arts Commission that when we have vacancies, we notice publicly, we conduct interviews, we get a variety of applicants, and get to choose from the very best of the best, most generous, passionate people about music and arts in Los Gatos. And the choices the council's made over the years, I think, are phenomenal. I understand the economic reasons and the logical reasons for combining the two entities. Okay, that all makes sense. And I'm sure who you pick and what you work out in the contract, I guess, with community services, I'm sure that'll all be fine. My concern, Jonathan, I'd like you to respond to it, is how has your board discussed the self-replacement so that I'm convinced 3 or 4 years from now, the same or as close to the same quality of people are making those decisions on who's going to be where, when. There's a few people on the Music in the Park, and I'm looking at it right now, that go out there and beat the pavement to raise money. Not everybody can do that. When we interview applicants for other committees, we say, do you have any grant writing? Do you have any this? Do you have any fundraising? No, 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 no. The hardest thing is to do that. So how are you going to address the replacement of the necessary entities, the components of what now, right now you've only got Jazz in the Plaz. Then you're going to expand now to 10 more weeks, 10 more days, 10 more bands. It's going to become more difficult. Can you help me with that?
Sure. So I actually view it as this transfer as helping specifically to address that problem. Because the Los Gatos Music and Arts Board is so strong with so many of our community members, it's a large board of directors. It's 22 people on the board of directors, and it's a working board of directors who get out and actually do the work, very much like the Arts Commission. So, and they have a reputation now and a history of proven credibility going into the 6th or now 7th season of Jazz on the Plaz, of being able to do this. We're actually going to be able to leverage the competencies of both people in order to do this. So we will have people who can do the same kinds of volunteer work that they do on one concert for the other. We have some of this going on right now, as a matter of fact, with people in the Arts Commission who also help out with Jazz on the Plaz. It's informal. So I think that we are set up to have a very strong board of Los Gatos Music and Arts members into the future who are made up of people who are committed to our town. If I were to read a list to you of who those board members were, you would know, I believe, every single one of them personally, but more importantly, you would know their commitment to Los Gatos and wanting to ensure that these things do continue.
Yeah. No denial. The people you have are incredible. My concern is in the future, but you bring up a very good point where you've got 22 on one group, a dozen. How many on the Music in the Park?
Well, Music in the
9?
Yeah, that's how many people are in the Arts Commission.
Okay.
I think
so you've got 21 to draw from, and then they replace. So I just wanted to address that was the one concern I had. I think you're all wonderful. I'm just concerned about when you're not here. Councilmember Spector.
Thank you. I guess it would either be Ms. Faulkner or Mr. Knowles. The question, drawing from Mr. Wasserman's concern, it would seem to me that when you are drafting, negotiating this contract, which is actually all we're doing right now, there would probably be discussion of scenarios in which Music in the Park could possibly come back to the town. And again, I don't know what those are. Maybe if your nonprofit lost all of its directors, but whatever, that it could possibly come back to us.
I think that'll be a critical component of the we're going to contract here between us and the town. You know, the reality is that we believe as arts commissioners that if we don't do this, Music in the Park is actually in jeopardy. We believe that this is a way to help make that great tradition that we have here in town. None of us are paid to do any of this, and we certainly don't make money. Actually, Music in the Park does make a little, but it goes right back into Music in the Park, and any money that Los Gatos Music and Arts makes is donated to the venue and to the Los Gatos museums. So this isn't a money-making proposition. This is a labor of love from these folks, and I can speak on behalf of the board of Los Gatos Music and Arts to say that we want to make sure as well that it continues, and want to make sure there are safeguards in the written words that say, should something not work out, that the town has the right, the ability to say, fine, we'll figure out a way to try to make it work under the auspices of the town.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Certainly.
Yes, Vice Mayor McNutt.
Thank you. Mr. Knoll, I just want to clarify, just to make sure that
Yes, ma'am.
my assumption is also your assumption. Based on the staff report and what you've just said, it's like the town maintains ownership of a product or brand, and in some ways the agreement is licensing that brand or product to your association, and that licensing can be revoked or returned or something like that. Is that, you're nodding yes? So
We have no issue with that. We are not ever imagining a scenario by which this becomes some sort of for-profit thing that we do. It is absolutely that labor of love, and that's, I think, an important part of it. So whatever it takes. You know, from the perspective of a person who goes to the concert, if we do this right, they will never know this even happened.
You're absolutely correct, and I think probably half of the people who go to Jazz in the Plaza think that it's a town event there.
They
too.
do.
So
We tell them not to put their blankets down, and they say, my tax dollars are paying for this concert, don't tell me.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we don't have any cards on this item, so I'm going to turn to council for discussion and a motion. Ms. Spector.
Thank you. I think, I've said this before, I think Ms. McNutt may have also, I think having Music in the Park being administered through a nonprofit is a really good idea. And mindful of that, I'm going to move to authorize staff to commence contract negotiations with Los Gatos Music and Arts for MIP coordination.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Spector, a second by Mr. Przinski. Looking for any further discussion? Further discussion, Vice Mayor McNutt.
Thank you. Just one point in the staff report somewhere was a comment about the intention of MIP to continue to acknowledge or involve council members, which is nice. But I would really like to encourage, especially in 2009, that could be the farewell season, that a lot of emphasis be placed on the Arts Commission, and that the Arts Commissioners get some spotlight every week, because I think they're not on the stage enough. So I think this would be a good time to celebrate them.
Okay. Mr. Przinski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a logical outcome of the discussions we've had for the last year or so. Probably starting when we dealt with the policy issue of members of our own committees and commissions soliciting money from our community. I think this is a very good step, an enhancement. It's very reflective of I think the many hours of work spent enhancing these last couple of years of Music in the Park. And kudos to the Arts Commission and the Arts Commissioners and our own lovely Director of Community Services. But now's the time for us to move into the public-private partnership. And I think that's really what's happening here. I look forward to the return after the negotiations so that we can assure that we have our brand affirmed within this operation, and at the same time that the Arts Commission has a rightful and appropriate place to continue engagement with the MIP organization, but most significantly that this community event continue to grow and develop in the manner that it has in the last several years in particular. And so kudos to all the members who've been participants, and I look forward to our drawing conclusion wherein we've come to a new era for MIP through this operation.
I'm going to be supporting the motion as well. I think it's a win-win for everybody. The Music in the Park, the Jazz at the Plaz, the Town Community Services, and I'm glad to see this has finally evolved in something that should be a win-win for everyone. I look forward to speedy negotiations and getting that done and bringing it back and getting it finalized so we all move forward and know which direction we're moving in. Council, no further discussion. I'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion as made by Councilmember Spector, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Passes unanimously. And that's it. Meeting adjourned.